By way of introduction, for those who are not familiar, my name is Gabriel Friedman, aka Rav Gav, originally from a place called Woodmere, New York. I've been living here. Hey! Oh! Anyway, so I've been living here in Israel now for the past 19 years. I don't know what's going on here. I think we should leave it. Married, got a bunch of kids. Let's get cracking. We don't got so much time. All right. If you have any questions that come up throughout this presentation, feel free to ask. However, please keep them relevant. Do not do any of those, why Amalek? We don't care right now. That's nothing to do with this. So we're going to jump into what's known as the 7 wonders of Jewish history. Understand that we are messing with you in a big time over here because you have the 7 wonders of the world, 7 wonders of the ancient world, 7 wonders of the modern world. So over here, in order to draw you in and get you, we say the 7 wonders of Jewish history. There are many more than just 7 wonders of Jewish history, but we're going to be focusing on 7 of them. To take a look and see the following idea. We have a book called the Torah. That's what we've got. Everyone knows we've got the book itself. The question is, did this book called the actually come from the Lord? That's the question. It's very simple. When we have it, it exists. It's called 1,000 years old. We have 2 options. This book called the Torah either came from an individual, a person, or a group of people, or it came from the Lord. Praise be His name. I'm going to let you guys make that decision for yourself. Let's take a look at the following. Start a little conversation which happened a long, long time ago. I do not remember. 2 guys. One by the name of King Louis XIV, the other known as Blaise Pascal. Now, these 2 worked together. King Louis XIV was the king, as most kings are. King Louis, and Blaise was his trusted advisor. King Louis was what's known as an agnostic. Agnostic means, I don't know, maybe there is a God, maybe there isn't a God. Pascal, on the other hand, very much believed in God. He was a Christian philosopher, mathematician. For those who know math well, you know what's known as Pascal's triangle or Pascal's theorem. If you know philosophy, you know it as Pascal's wager. He very much believed, a Christian philosopher, very much believed in God. So they would have conversations all the time. How do you know there's a God? Just how you know. How do you know this? How you know. Remember, he was agnostic. Agnostic, King Louis, agnostic means I don't know. It doesn't mean there is no God. That's called atheism, and that's just plain silly. For those who want more on that, read Permission to Believe. But then you ever get the following idea. They go, how do I know? And finally he says, enough. Pascal, I want you to clear me. Who, English guy. You had you had a thing like a laser.
It's on the thing. It's on the remote. Just press the, no, other one. The black one.
That's racist.
All right. Okay. Anyway, here's the deal. So King Louis, one thing says to Pascal, how do you know God this is out? How this is good enough? I want you to give me, Pascal, clear evidence of a supernatural force. Prove to me that there's a God. How do I know that there's a God? So says Pascal to King Louis, you want evidence of a supernatural force? Says the Christian philosopher to an agnostic king, the Jews, Your Majesty, the Jews. Now, what in the world did a Christian philosopher mean when he said, the Jews are a proof of supernatural force? How many of you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and go, supernatural? You probably go something like, supernatural, and then you realize it's your roommate. But how many times is it? What is that? What is supernatural about us? Anyone quick?
Survival.
Okay, good. Neshama, beautiful, Shabbat. Okay, so what's supernatural is that Neshama is actually correct. No one's ever answered that ever. You're right. You're absolutely right. But when we make the supernatural with the Jewish people, the fact that we still exist today. Let's take a look at our boy Mark Twain. It says the following: the Egyptian, the Babylonian, and the Persian rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, and faded to dreams up and passed away. The Greek and the Roman followed, and made a vast noise, and they are gone. Other people sprung up and helped them torch high for a time, but it burned out. They sit in the twilight now or vanished. The Jews saw them all, be them all, and now is what it always was, exhibiting the deadliness of the infirmities of age, the weakening of his parts, the slowing of his energies, the dulling of his alert, and the aggressive mind. All things are mortal, but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? That, my friends, is a very heavy statement. I had someone ask me a question once. They say, why are you quoting non-Jews? Why are you bringing in a non-Jew? Wasn't his name Samuel, so he's Jewish? His name was Samuel, but he wasn't Jewish. Anyway, he was actually anti-Semitic. But anyway, the point is that when he goes on to see, why are we quoting non-Jews? Simply because if I would quote a Rambam, we'd be like, Rambam, whatever. But if I quote a non-Jew, it was like, it's a guy, it's got to be true. Right, so what happens is, that's why we quote non-Jews all the time. That gets one excited. Now we're going to give you another quote. Does anyone here know somebody named Leo? by show of hands, Leo, picture a Leo in your mind. Is that what you were thinking? Okay, so there's a guy named Leo Tolstoy in Columbia said the following: the Jew is the emblem of eternity. He who neither slaughter nor torture of thousands of years could destroy. He who neither fire nor sword nor inquisition has ever went on the face of the earth. He was the first to produce the oracle of God. He has been for so long the guardian of prophecy and transmitted it to the rest of the world. Such a nation cannot be destroyed. The Jew is as everlasting as is eternity. My friends, that's quite amazing. The fact that we is here and we've continued to survive throughout the generations. Now that's what we see over here. Mark Twain, Leo Tolstoy, Nicholas coming saying the fact that we still exist today. Now, we have two options. This book called the Torah, again, two options. Option number one, it came from a person. Option number two, it came from the divine. I'm going to try to show you. Everyone has their option. Some people believe it came from God, and they can believe whatever they want. That's cool. I'm going to try to show you today, though, that this book called the Torah actually is not. There is no God. There is no. There's a Torah, but it's not divine. It was made by a people, by individuals. Don't leave till the end of the presentation. Now, there's two options. Either I will be successful or unsuccessful. If I am successful, then we're going to have to change this from being Emunah Day to Emunah Day lack of Emunah. If I'm not successful, foreshadow. Then maybe the reason why I'm not being successful, foreshadow, is simply because it did come from God, post-shadow. Now, I may be Yavin. I'm going to make this very clear because there are people in the room that are a little bit less fast. And that's the following. I'm going to try to show you that this Torah came from a person. You are going to see that is absurdly ridiculous, and therefore it had to be that it came from God. But I'm going to do it in the model of showing it from a person. Was that clear to anyone? Okay, we got one. Good, let's move on. Now, my friends, I want you to clear your minds of anything you know about Judaism. Okay, that was quick. Now, let's begin. Imagine I want to start a religion. All right, I want to start a religion. I want to call it Judaism. Why Judaism? Name Judaism. Back off. Now, go ahead. I want to call it Judaism. I'll be the founder. You'll be my committee. Let's begin. Okay. So now, here's where it's going to go. If I want to start a religion, I got to come up with some sort of prophecy. Because what's a religion without a prophecy? It's a religion without a prophecy. A religion with a prophecy. So I'm going to get out there and I'm going to get people on board. Understand, this whole thing is made up. It never existed. And I'm going to try to get people excited. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to come up with a bold claim. We are going to be in a nation. Good sales pitch, yes or no? Yeah. Good sales pitch. Okay, that would be a Nazi. Okay, good sales pitch. We're going to be an eternal nation. Where do we find this? Actually, in my book. Okay, if you look in Genesis, I'm going to read it from the English. You're welcome to read the Hebrew. But who are you kidding? Okay. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants throughout the generations, an eternal covenant to be your God and the God of the descendants after you. Eternal covenant, which means a contract that will be there forever. Or another quote in my book of Leviticus, as it says, thus evil while they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject or obliterate them, lest I make my covenant with them by destroying them. For I am the Lord their God. I will remember them because of the covenant I made with their original ancestors, whom I brought to the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations, so that I might be their God. So indeed we see that this hurt us. Okay, so for those who are listening in the beginning, then you heard the following idea. The Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Mamluks, anybody who left their land was gone, annihilated, or they were assimilated. They're finished. Eso es todo, terminamos, finalizamos. We're talking about ángel de la muerte, vámonos, and that's it. So we start to realize the fact that, no, if you're off the land, you ain't going to survive. But if you stay on the land, I'm still alive, we're going to survive. So let's take a look. We're going to stay in our land. That would be helpful. So get ready for my next prophecy. Okay, this is going to help us. It is called Exile and Dispersion. Does exile and dispersion increase our chances for survival or not? No. Not is correct. Not at all. Let me show you a short list of places that we have been chucked from. Okay, you got France, and Arab lands. All right, so basically, if you look and you search, then you will find it. We've been chucked time after time, but God will be waiting over and over. We've been chucked, my friends, and where do we find this? It's actually prophesied. Take a look at that book itself. And you I will scatter among the nations at the point of my drawn sword, leaving your country desolate and your city in ruins. Or another quote which basically says the same thing. So we get the point. We're going to be scattered, people, all over the world. Does that help us? The answer is no. Does it help us? No. Excellent. That would be strike number one. Now again, if you were really my committee and I was trying to get this off the ground, I'm like, I have a great idea. We're going to start a religion. And we'll be it forever. And how so? By being exiled and dispersed. You'd probably be like, yo, bro, you need a new plan. But don't worry, because I have a plan. Even though we're exiled and dispersed, let's take a look at other people that have been around a very long time and maybe use their method of survival. India, China, Japan, they've been around a very long time. Similar culture, if not the same culture, same people, they've got it. Let's take a look at their plan for survival. How about Japan? How did Japan survive for so long? Good, we have the rice. Someone said isolation. The other guy heard him say rice. So he's like, rice, elation, right? Imperialistic rice. Okay, so the answer is Japan is located in the middle of Japan. You understand? If a person wants to get to Japan, it's not like, hey, let's go to Japan. It doesn't work like that. If you want to get there, you got to get on a boat. You got to get out there because it's far away. My friends, Japan is a far distance from anywhere else. So maybe let's use the same level that they of Japan and maybe make our land also like Japan and we'll put it in the middle of nowhere. And that's why our land is in the middle of nowhere. But that's not true. It's in the middle of the East. It is a land bridge between three different continents. Ask the guy next to you who said imperialism what a continent is. It is the land bridge between three continents. Africa, Asia, Europe. You want to get through there? You got to pass through Jerusalem. Do you know that Yerushalayim is the most conquered city in the world? It's been conquered in upwards of 1 million times. That's impossible. I made that part up. It's been conquered about 36 times, over and over and over. You guys are in a tip. I'm sure some of you have been to the tunnel tours. You see, built upon, built upon, built upon, built upon, built upon, built upon, what, built upon, what, built upon. Over and over, my friends. So we see that clearly we didn't use their method of survival. So what about India and China? Don't get thrown up by Nepal. How did India and China survive for so long? The answer is billions of people. There's just so many people. So that's a good idea. Let's be so many that you can't conquer us. Get ready for my next prophecy. We're going to be few in number. Few in number. That will help us. Right? Good. The answer is not at all. Few in number. Let's take a look and see where we find this idea actually as it quotes in Deuteronomy. And you shall remain few in number among the nations where God shall lead you. Hey, but I thought we're supposed to be as numerous as the stars of the sky. So take a look at this here. You shall remain few in number, whereas you could have become as numerous as the stars of the sky, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. This is the voice. You don't listen to the voice. You going down, baby. You understand what I'm saying? Talking about low, low, low. Anyway, the point is, we start to see that what happens here is that we will be here. We're going to be here, people. But how many we going to be? That's contingent. It's a little strange, though, because we know the very first mitzvah in the Torah is Peru Uravu, be fruitful and multiply. Have lots and lots of children. Allow me to be clear for you, Shiva guys, with your spouse. Now, realize the following thing. It's like, oh man. All right, let's say, come on, knock on my door. Anyway, this is what? Peru Uravu. We're going to be fruitful and multiply. The average secular couple has between 1.2 kids and a dog. I know what you're thinking. Where's the 0.2? The average ultra-Orthodox couple has anywhere between 12 and 45 children. Now, if you put that together, we have an ancient people, a high birth rate. We should have tons of Jews. But how many Jews are we? Take a look at the chart, my friends. We know that in the year 200 BCE, before the Common Era, relax, before the Common Era, there were about 30 million Chinese people. Today, they're over 1.8 billion. That number's not accurate. Over 1. Oh, Shem, what just happened? Wrong thing. Now they're at, that's why. Now they're at over 1.3, this was done a few years ago, of 1.8 billion people. The Jewish people is estimated in the year 1 CE, there are between 6 and 8 million people. That means today, we took the same growth rate as China. You don't have to. I'm saying, for example, with all the euthanasia, if we took the same growth rate, today we should be somewhere between 200 and 700 million Jews. How many Jews are we though? Approximately 14 million Jews. That little blue line at the bottom. Let's take a look at a pie chart, because let's face it, we all love pie. 20% of the world population, Chinese. 19%, India. And there are the Jews. Now I know what you're thinking. The number's inaccurate. You're right. It's not 0.2. It's 0.02. The Jewish population of the world is 0.02. Let me put that in perspective. Try to imagine you have 100 pieces of cake. How many of those pieces of cake are the Jewish people? Take one of them, cut it into 5 pieces, and then you will have
a tad more than the Jewish population of the world. My friends, we are quite small. It's pretty amazing that we start to see this. And that's why every woman's like, can I get a little sliver? Just a little sliver, just a little slice. Can I get a little slice? And then you cut like a little slice and she walks away with the whole cake, right? Anyway, I'm saying it's a whole lot of... Okay, the point is, my friends, you start to see, we're going to be few in number. Does this help the fact that we are going to be longevity or not so much? Answer is not so much. Strike number, don't get thrown off. Number 2, we're going to be exiled dispersion, going to be few in number, but don't worry, I have a plan. I'm the man with a plan, baby. Even though we're going to be exiled dispersed, we're going to be few in number. I know how to make sure that we're going to survive. My prophecy will be that the whole world will hate us. Yes! Who's with me? Mila, something Eli. We don't have a Hashem yet in the picture. I kind of made it up. All right, so let's take a look and see, my friends, where do we find this anti-Semitism thing? Well, first and foremost, in my Bible, and those of you who survive in the land of your enemies, I shall make so faint-hearted that if leaves also behind them, they will flee headlong as from the sword, that no one pursues them. Stumbling over one another is to escape a weapon, and no one's after them. So helpless, helpless, helpless. Will you be to take a stand against our foes? You shall perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies shall consume you. A lovely bedtime story. Nighty-night. Sweet nightmares. Anyway, the point is, my friends, we start to see it. It's another quote, same thing. The point is that anti-Semitism is going to be rampant. And what we got right over here, this is a page of the Gemara. For those of you who made a Siyum Shas, Mazel Tov. For those who didn't, Mazel Tov. But understand that we're now coming up to this is Gemara Shabbos Pei Test. Today is the Beis of an Aleph and Brachos of 64 daf, which is really 63 daf. If it's 63, you've got 89, which is really 88. So you got 63 and 88. It's going to be 163, 153, 152, 151. In 151 days, we're going to read this Gemara. The Gemara, by we, I mean those who are going to do it. The Gemara says in Shabbos, my Har Sinai. My Har Sinai. For those who are not familiar, this is a Gemara. Welcome. Gemara. Now, if you see this, it says here 3 lines up, my Har Sinai. What is Mount Sinai? Why is Mount Sinai called Mount Sinai? It says the Gemara, Har Sheyarda Sina La'akum. It's called Har Sinai because it is the mountain that hatred came down la'akum. Akum is an acronym for Avodat Kochab Mazalot, which means the non-Jews, the Jewish people of the world, those people in particular that were involved with idolatry, which was the mainstay of the world at the time, which means the reason it's called Mount Sinai, Jabal Musa Arabi, is because, simply put, that's the mountain that all hatred came down to. But it's spelled differently. It's a play on words, but it's still spelled differently. Good. One's Aramaic, one's Hebrew. Sinna and Sinna. Sinai is the Aramaic word for Sinna. My friends, it's pretty crazy. That's how much we're hated from the very beginning. Let me take a look and show me. Oh, it's not loaded. Okay, let's take a look and see if it works. If you hate black people, that took a strange turn. Okay. Wrong presentation. Thank you for coming. There's a God. Okay, if you hate black people, don't get this question wrong. There was a year they got this wrong. What are you called if you hate a black person? You're called a racist. Good, you're called a racist. If you hate white people, what are you called? So I know, like, some of you are thinking, like, do I make a joke? I don't know. It's 2020. I'm not sure what to say. What if I do? That'll be kind of big. I'm not from LA. What does it matter anyway? Okay, the answer is if you hate white people, you're called a racist. If you hate Arabs, what are you called? Jewish. No, you're called a racist. If you hate Asians, what are you called? Jewish. No, you're called a racist. If you hate Jews, what are you called? Jewish. It's just, no, we have our own special name. It's called anti-Semitism. It's so nice. What is anti-Semitism? Let's take a little look at this. Anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, anti-noun, discrimination against or prejudice or hostility toward Jews. Now there's always one genius in the room who goes, well, technically speaking, anti-Semitism in Hebrew is anti-shemiot, and Shem, it was a son of Noah, and we know that Noah had 3 sons. One was Shem and came from Shem the Jew. So if you're anti-Jew, you're anti-Semite. But the Arabs also come from there. So if you hate Arabs, you're also an anti-Semite. So how come you didn't say that? There's always that guy. So I'm going to just fill in that guy a little bit. Although you're right etymologically speaking, and if you're that guy, you understand that word. Even though your etymology means the root and source and understanding where the word actually comes from. You're right if you just look at the word itself. You think that anti-Semitism, anti-Shemiyot, that would be the case. It just happens to be wrong historically. The word anti-Semitism comes from a fellow by the name of Wilhelm Marr, who was a German journalist in 1879. He said there's such a hatred towards the Jews that it needs its own name. And he created a word. It's called anti-Semitism. You're right, it can be branched out, but the word itself actually was originally just for Jews. There are a lot of words that were created just for us that now the world uses. For example, one Greek one, actually two Greek ones, they put them together. It's called the Holocaust, right? The Holocaust. That was originally just for Jews. How about genocide, just for Jews? Pogroms, Jews. Ghetto, Jews. Money. Anyway, the point is, my friends, we start to see the fact that it's pretty amazing. This shouldn't be here, so we're moving on. All right, so we start to see the uniqueness of the hatred toward the Jewish people. You got universality, intensity, longevity, rationality. Let's see, I hope this was loaded. Where around the world have we been hated? Everywhere is correct. Okay, next. Intensity. Sometimes you don't like your neighbor, and sometimes you have black boxes. Okay, that didn't load. Intensity is like, you don't like your neighbor, you want to egg their house, cut their power. How many of you say, I really don't like the neighbor? I have an idea. Let's gas their whole family. And I said, like, yo, bro, can you chill? It's like, no, I'm fine, Judenhan. I was thinking, okay, now we'll do it. And it's a little bit intense, you know what I'm saying? Chill, Adolf, chill, right? Longevity, how long have we been hated? Another black box. That is how long. We can't even go into it, right? That's how long since we created. And irrationality. You ask one person twice, or every generation blames a Jew before. Every time there's a problem, there's a Jew. You know why I hate Jews? Because they're so rich. They run the economy. You know what I'm talking about? It's crazy because you see them all over the streets. They have no money. And they're always begging for food. I can't stand them. Hold on. So they're rich or they're poor? Right. Now you're getting it. You see the problem? What's that? Are they beautiful? Are they ugly? Different than powerful, weak, dominant, passive, loose, follow, so scatterers, king, monarch, super radical. They're my favorite. I can't stand those religious fanatics. They're such atheists. Every time there's a problem, we're the scapegoat. It is irrational. My friends, Esav son of Yaakov, it is what it is. We're going to be hated. Understand that idea. But I think the number one study that was ever done on anti-Semitism was done by Professor Cohen. Now, Professor Cohen has done many studies on sociological principles and how people interact with one another in a very deep way. Okay. Now, who does not know who this is? Raise your hand. Okay, good. There's still hope for mankind. All right. Now, for the rest of you, life is over. What happens like this? No, it's a good thing, by the way. Do not be embarrassed. Do not be embarrassed. It's a very good thing you know what this is. Everyone else here is going to make you feel bad. It's because they have low self-esteem. The bottom line is as follows. This guy came along. What did he do? Sacha Baron Cohen, he's a Jew from London, and for those from London, you may have seen him in shul once or twice, right? He goes, he hangs out there when he does. So he came along, and he made a lot of movies, a lot of films, a lot of TV shows, and many of them are quite anti-Semitic. And the question is, why would he do that? He's Jewish. So there's two answers. One is, money, 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 right? You make mad cash, baby. But another reason why he did it is actually, for the English people in the room, when he was in uni, what happened was, that's university, as he was in university, he wanted to bring out a project to show the world something. His grandfather went to a place that some of you may have heard of. It's a little place called Auschwitz. And he survived Auschwitz, and he wanted to show the world, even though people don't even know what a Jew is, they still hate them. That's when he came out with this hit single, Throw the Jew Down the Well. Very good. I mean, horrible, but very good. Yeah, excellent. That's a correct answer is what I was looking for. So we start to see, my friends, something pretty amazing. He goes ahead and he writes this thing, Throw the Jew Down the Well. He gets up there. It's nuts. And what does he do? He basically says he's from Kazakhstan. He makes up a name. His name is Borat. He is good. And he walks in there. And he walks into some bar in Arizona. And he starts yelling out, in my country we have problem. And the problem is the Jew. And then he gets everyone singing, Throw the Jew down the well. It was like, throw the Jew down the well. So my country can be free. So his country can be free. We must grab him by their horns. And then we'll have a big party. You guys are sick. Anyway, so basically, that's what happens in the bar. Now, I want you to imagine for a second. Imagine he would have come into the bar and he would have started singing, throw the midget down the well. Everyone like, oh my gosh, it's horrible, vertically challenged. How could you talk like that, right? When it comes to Jews, all of a sudden, you can say whatever you want. That, my friends, is no anything to get out of that mustache. Get out of that mustache. That's not anti-Semitism. Does this support longevity? This will be strike number 3. We got, my friends, we're going to be exile dispersed. We're going to be few in number, and everyone's going to hate us, but we're going to survive. Come on, bro. You think that's a chance? What are the chances of our survival? The answer is probably nothing. The chances are we would not survive, but even if we were to survive, would you expect us to be changing the world and being unbelievably important, or that we would be bleeding from every orifice, crawling, waiting to get kicked in the head again? I'm going to go with B also. Yet we have the next prophecy that we are going to be a light unto the nations. We're going to affect the world in an incredible way. Where do we find such an idea? Let's take a look at my prophecy. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you your name great. You will become a blessing, and I will bless those that bless you and curse you those that curse you. Through you, all the communities of the earth shall be blessed. Amen. I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness and will hold your hand and keep you. I will establish you as a covenant for the people, for a light unto the nations. Or the next quote underlined, nations shall then go by your light and kings by your radiant illumination. So my friends, we see we're going to be a light unto the nations. True or false, have the Jews affected the world? Oh, baby. What's that guy? Who's that guy? Albert Einstein, right? He affected the Jew, affected the world. What's this over here? A kosher phone, right? This is a phone, cell phone technology created by Jews. What's this guy over here? Waze, created by an Israeli Jew. What's this over here? Stolen by, created by a Jew. What's this over there? It rhymes with the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize, less than 0.25% of the world population. Yet the Jews have won more than 25% of Nobel Prize winnings. That is a statistical anomaly, my friends. What's this over here? Bottom left? That's my Mossad business. You know what I'm saying? What is that? What's that over there? That's what we call drip irrigation. Israel is the world leader in water preservation and recycling. What's amazing is 80% of the water in this country is recycled. Enjoy your water. No, I'm kidding. Most of it's used in fields, so you're not drinking it, you're eating it. Okay, in any event, so we go, this is just a bunch of ideas, but is that what we mean, friends? Is that what we mean when we talk about being a light into the nations? When we talk about being a light into the nations, is that what we mean? You should be a secular scientist, mathematician, or do we mean something so much more than that, my friends? We mean something known monotheism. The fact that there's one God, let's get together and have Bible study. When we start to see, my friends, what am I talking about? One God. What comes along with one God? Let me quote you one of my favorite quotes besides the whole Torah. It comes from John Adams. Now, John Adams, for those who know, he was the second president of the United States of America. He was a loony. He was a bit loony, but he still says the following quote. I will insist the Hebrews have done more to civilize men than any other nation. If I were an atheist and believed in blind eternal fate, I should still believe that fate had ordained the Jews to be the most essential instrument for civilizing the nations. If I were an atheist of the other sect, I should believe the chance had ordered the Jews to preserve and propagate to all mankind the doctrine of a supreme, intelligent, wise, almighty sovereign of the universe, which I believe to be the great essential principle of all morality and consequently of all civilization. They are the most glorious nation that ever inhabited the earth. The Romans, bless you, the Romans and their empire were but a bauble in comparison to the Jews. They have given religion to 3/4 of the globe and influenced the affairs of mankind more and more happily than any other nation, ancient or modern. They are the most glorious nation. We got people running away from Judaism. Are we out of our mind? The answer is no, we just don't know. We don't realize who we are. If we would realize who we are, we wouldn't run from Judaism, we would run towards Judaism. We would want to get as close as we can. My friends, the fact is we see we're going to be a light into the nations. That's quite amazing. But what brings it above, and then above, take a look at the next one over here. There are many people out there that, let's say, are farmers. They love their land. People love their land. But how many of those farmers have their land turned back to them and say, you know what, farmer? I love you too. Okay, it could be they're involved in certain extracurricular activities which are decriminalized in certain areas. But usually, what does that mean? Wherever we are an interdependence or a connection or relationship between the land of Israel and the Jewish people. What did the land of Israel look like before the Jews got there? As it says, we're in Mitzrayim. I have come down to rescue them from Egypt's power. I will bring them out of that land to a good spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey. And it's about halab. Halav Davash. Yeah, that's what it looked like. You don't believe the Bible? Take a look historically. A guy named Josephus Flavius, who was certainly not religious, possibly not even Jewish. Machlokas in the Gemara. But the point is, he says the following: living around the times of the temple, for the whole area is excellent for crops. In Yerushalmi, by the way, for the whole area is excellent for crops. I heard it from Rosh Weiss. For the whole area is excellent for crops or pastures and rich in trees of every kind. Here's the bottom line: what this says is the land was awesome. We had this gorgeous, beautiful, fertile land. But what happens when the Jews leave the land? As the Bible states. So, I don't think no one tried to live here. We had the Babylonians, the Mamluks, don't get me started, the Fatimids and the Abbasids. So many people tried to live here, but they weren't able to grow anything. What does the Bible say? When we leave, so devastated will I leave the land, that your enemies who live there will be astonished. Your land will remain desolate and your cities in ruins. Or another quote which says the same thing. My friends, we see, when the Jews are here, things are going well. This shouldn't be here. Next, when the Jews are here, it's this beautiful land. But when we leave the land, it becomes this barren, desolate wasteland. That's a quote from our boy, Mark and Mark, anti-Semite Twain. Take a look at Mark Twain. He came to visit Israel in 1867. Historically speaking, that's very recent. 152 years ago. 152 years ago, my friends. He came to Israel and Tishma'u Ma'u Amam Tishma'u Hebron. We traverse some miles of desolate country whose soil is rich, but is given wholly to weeds. A silent, mournful expanse. You think you started farming. A silent, mournful expanse. A desolation is here that not even imagination can grace with the pomp of life and action. We reached Tabor safely. We never saw a human being on the whole route. We pressed on towards the goal of our crusade, renowned Jerusalem. The further we got, the hotter the sun got, and the more rocky, bare, repulsive, and dreary the landscape became. There was hardly a tree or a shrub anywhere. Even the olive and the cactus, those fast friends of the worstest soil, had almost deserted the country. No landscape exists that is more tiresome to the eye than that which bounds the approaches to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is mournful, dreary, and lifeless. I would not desire to live here. It is a hopeless, dreary, heartbroken land. Palestine sits in sackcloth and ashes. This is not the last quote. The last quote is, Palestine is no more of this workday world. It is sacred to poetry. It is dreamland. Is that true? Is Israel not part of the global economy? Let's say it differently. Is Israel part of the global economy? In a very major way. You think, okay, that's electronics, technology, much more than that. 2005, we have what's known as the Hitgarshut. Gush Katif. The Jews were living in Gush Katif, and unfortunately the government decided to kick the Jews out, give the land away to Arabs. But when they were living there in Gush Katif, they were supplying the vegetables for the whole country. Just look at that. It's not just in terms of technology, even in terms of vegetation, in terms of growth. So you'll say, fine, but that's in the land of Israel. What about out of Israel? So that's all they had for Israel. The answer is no. In 2005, they were exporting in upwards of $200 million a year in produce. My friends, we are very much connected. When the Jews are here, things grow. When the Jews leave, it stops growing. It's quite incredible. Try to imagine this from the perspective of the Native Americans. You got the Native Americans living in Native America, and the big chief calls everyone together and sees white man is arriving, and he says, land, when white man arriveth, sprout forth no vegetation or herbs of any sort, remain barren, desolate, and grow nothing. Little chief, big bear, small river, let's go. And we know that the moment the Native Americans left Native America, America has remained a barren, desolate wasteland. But that's not true. We have taxis and buildings. I agree, this is a bad depiction of what I'm trying to say. But the point is that we became a superpower of the world, second only to Amazon. Now, let's take a look, my friends, and start to see. So that's a relationship. But last but not least, my friends, last but not least is return again, come back to me now, I get him out. The fact that the Jewish people are going to make their way back to the land of Israel. Listen to this, my friends. We take a look, we start to see. The Jews get kicked out of the land, we come back. Kicked out of our land, we come back. Kicked out of our land, and then we get kicked out of every other land in the world. You understand? But it's about goes that burn, burn, out, out. I like to move it. It's not that I like to move it. I have to move it, because I keep getting kicked out. And the Lord your God shall return you from your captivity and have compassion upon you. He shall return you and gather you from among all the nations. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land that your fathers inherited. You will acquire it, and he will make you even more prosperous and numerous than your fathers. We're going to come back to the land. Another quote from Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Okay, good. Next. Now we start to see the following idea. The Jews are coming back to the land of Israel. Unbelievable. Isn't that incredible? My friends, do you know how many Jews lived here in Israel in the year 1900s? Percentage-wise of Jews, how many percentage lived in Israel? 0.5 is correct. Excellent. Today, how many Jews, percentage-wise, live in the land of Israel today? Okay, so the most recent search that I did, you can look at yourselves, I saw was approximately 73%. You are welcome to Jews living in Israel today. I did it 2 weeks ago. Check it out yourself, bro. Check it out. Whip out that smartphone. Make sure it's just a smartphone, all right? So we start to see, my friends, what? We're taking a look at that. Unbelievable. Fine. You want to say just 50%? This was done a while ago. It's 48%. It's certainly that the Jewish people are more than 50% of the Jewish people are living in the land of Israel today. That is not a statistical anomaly. That is a statistical impossibility. The fact that how many over 120 years we should go from being 0.5% to more than 50% people. That's insane. Let's take a look and understand something over here, because another quote tells us we're coming back. Now, understand what is that? We have this land which is nothing, and we build it up to this gorgeous land that becomes this beautiful thing, and simply because you realize the Jewish people are making their way back to the land of Israel. Now, my friends, if you take a look at all these by themselves, it kind of makes no sense. It really doesn't make any sense. I want you to try to imagine for a moment. Try to imagine there's a place that you guys been to, like Ben Yehuda, Chas v'Shalom. You've been to like, who's Chas v'Shalom? So you got these two friends who hang out with you at Ben Yehuda. And you're chilling there. You go to a place called Crack Square. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with Crack Square, it is a place in town which the pavement's very uneven. There's a lot of cracks. And there are people there that do crack. Now, I want you to try to imagine, you go out to Crack Square. Okay, let's say for a minute, what's your name? What? Daniel? Okay, so now, did I pick the right guy? Is this advertising? All right, so here you go, right? So Daniel, imagine for a moment you go to Crack Square, right? They still have that. There used to be a restaurant there called the Village Green. You know what I'm talking about? What? It's still there? No? Yeah? Okay, so I don't know what you're talking about, but there's a restaurant called the Village Green. Interesting, the Village Green right next to Crack Square. So now, try to imagine, okay, you're standing there and someone seemingly out of nowhere pops over. He's like, yeah. Yo, listen. Yo, escuches. Señor, you listen. No, tisma. Habibi. Yo, tishma. Yo, listen. All right, listen. In 10 minutes, tishma, listen to me. Escuches, listen. In 10 minutes, 10 minutos, 10 dacot, tishma. Habibi, listen to me. I tell you in Arabic, listen. In 10 minutes, it's going to be a little rumble. You know what I'm saying? A little rumble. Yo, listen. 10 minutes, it's going to be a little rumble. The ground's going to open up. 10 golden chariots are going to pop out. They're going to circle your head 3 times. They're going to fly off. Yo, peace. And the guy walks off. Daniel, what would you be thinking? You guys on crack. Okay. Another day at the office. Okay, now, Daniel. What would you then be thinking? What would you then be thinking if 10 minutes later you started to feel the ground shake? You're like, oh mi Dios, ¿qué es esto? You take a step back. You're like, I don't believe, yo no creo, Señor. And you start to see the ground opens up. And 9 golden chariots pop out. You go, I thought 10. And then a 10th one pops out. And then it circles your head 3 times and then it flies off. You got me? You didn't do anything. You didn't do crack, smack, PCP, LSD, weed, heroin, cocaine. You didn't even eat the yeshiva food. You understand? You are totally sober. What would you then be thinking? Yo, who is that guy? That was pretty amazing. Now let me ask you something. Imagine, let's say nobody came to you. You're just standing in town and the ground opens up and this happened. Would that be phenomenal, yes or no? Yeah. What brings it above and beyond? The fact that somebody predicted it before it happened. My friends, we're going to be exiled, dispersed. The Babylonians, the Romans, the Persians, the Egyptians, everybody. Anybody who's been kicked off their land, exiled and dispersed, it's finito. It's over. So we start to see that itself, the fact that we're exiled and dispersed and we exist, that's a miracle. We're few in number and we exist, that's a miracle. The whole world hates us and we exist, that's a miracle. Put all three of those together, come on. It won't happen. And then we'll go be a letter to nations. I love you, land. I love you too. And then we're going to come back to the land. Each one of these by themselves is a miracle. By themselves. Put them all together, it makes no sense. What brings it above and beyond? The fact that this was all predicted before it occurred. So you always have these people and you see, we're like, you can't really know if like there's a sham. You just have to like believe. It's a leap of faith. It's a trip of knowledge. It's a hobble of taking. It's my friends. What you talking about, Willis? Just go check it. What you talking about? We just saw over here. Open your eyes and start to recognize an idea over here. When you look through these things, it starts to paint a picture. Post-shadow. Maybe the reason why all this was able to get off the ground in the first place could have been predicted and actually came out. At the time, why they believe it? Because God gave it to them. But the middle part is the issue. We now have the luxury of looking into history. History is the barometer of reality and truth. Now that we're looking at history and we start to see this, my friends, it paints a very vivid picture. And the reason why all this could have been predicted is because it wasn't written by a person or group or a small group of individuals, but rather this was written by none other than Melech Malchei HaMelechim, Toda al Chaim, Alo Shel Albechi Al Tzchok, which means all of this comes from the Lord, praise be His name, Hallelujah, and realize that if we would open our eyes to that, then we wouldn't be running from Yiddishkeit. We'd be running towards it. We'd want to get deeper and deeper, have more of an understanding to build that relationship, to only get closer and closer to Hashem. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.